So here we go with the reproductive system. Something that we will talk about a little bit, mitosis, meiosis is something in biology that we've discussed. So when we start looking at the reproductive system, which one of those is specialized for reproductive?
Oh, meiosis.
Yep, meiosis. Yep, because that's the one that will go from 46, it splits it into 23, so your egg cells have 23 chromosomes and your sperm cells have 23 chromosomes. So male and reproductive systems are a series of glands and tubes that produce and nurture mature sex cells. Transport them to the site of fertilization. So your sex cells, your eggs and sperm, are the only cells in your body that have 23 chromosomes. Male sex cells specifically are sperm. Female sex cells technically are called oocytes, or the egg cells. Some reproductive organs secrete hormones that are very important. They're needed for development. That's why they talk about raging hormones during puberty, because there actually is a change and surge in hormones that are needed for development and maintenance. Also, they are needed to regulate your reproductive functions. So, looking specifically at males to start with. The purpose of male sex organs is to transport sperm to eggs. Produce the sperm and get it to an egg for fertilization. So the primary sex organs in a male and a female are called gonads. So the gonads are going to produce sperm, they also produce hormones, and then you have accessory sex organs that are going to help along the way. So gonads are the primary sex organs in a male and a female. So here, if we look at a side view, the main gonad for the male would be the testes, which are going to produce the sperm. So the sperm is produced, it's stored in the epididymis, it's going to be carried up through the vas deferens, and then it's going to go through a series of glands. Prostate gland is probably one that you've heard of the most, because most men will experience some type of prostate issues as they get older. There's also the seminal vesicle, which is going to help to secrete semen or fluid for the sperm. And then here's the prostate, which is larger gland. And then there's a little bulbar urethral gland. It's also called the Cowper's gland in some books. What else? If we look at the urethra in a male, the urethra actually runs a fairly long distance. It can be broken up into certain areas. The penis, surrounding the penis, there's basically two types of muscle tissue. Corpus cavernosum and then corpus spongiosum. Very spongy because that organ will fill up with blood, and that's going to fill that spongy area. And then the glans penis is the bottom part of it, the front part of it. Anything else? The prepuce is the covering on the outside, and typically that is the part that will be cut when a baby is born. So that's the area of skin that is usually removed from most boys, I would say. So testes are the structures. They're surrounded, I didn't point that out. The scrotum is the area, or basically the sac that holds the testes. The scrotum is very important for regulating temperature. Each of the testes has 250 lobes that are separated by connective tissue, and inside are these seminiferous tubules that are very, very tightly coiled. The seminiferous tubules are lined with epithelial tissue, very thin tissue that has spermatogenic cells, and their only job is to produce sperm. So these spermatogenic cells inside the seminiferous tubules that are inside of the testes are what are going to produce actual sperm cells. Once the sperm is produced, they're going to leave the testes or the seminiferous tubules. They're going to go on the epididymis that sits on top. They'll be stored there for a short period of time, and then they go through the ductus deferens or the vas deferens. Interstitial cells lie in between the seminiferous tubules, and those interstitial cells are the cells that actually produce hormones. So seminiferous cells are going to produce sperm, interstitial cells are going to produce hormones. And here you can just kind of see these tightly coiled tubules that fill the inside of the testes. So, in a male embryo, the spermatogenic cells are undifferentiated. They're called spermatogonia, and each has 46 chromosomes. So, as sperm is produced, it's going to go from 46 to 23. So, in these spermatogenic cells, there's still 46 chromosomes. That's a body cell. Tentacular cells, Sertoli cells, probably more common, are found in these tubules, and their job is to support and nourish. During embryonic development, so before you're even born, hormones stimulate spermatogonial cells to undergo mitosis. So mitosis means they're going to simply divide, and I'm going to have an identical new cell that is the same. So the two cells that are produced they're identical, but they have different destinies. They're going to do different things. So one cell, type A, remains a spermatogonial cell, and it continues to go through mitosis. The other, type B, will end up differentiating and changing, becoming a spermatocyte, and it will undergo meiosis. So type B cells are where you're going to actually produce your sperm. So spermatogenesis, which is sperm production, then is basically stopped until puberty. So young boys, and that's why, same as young girls, eggs are not produced at a very young age. Sperm production does not actually happen until around the age of puberty. So testosterone, being one of the most important male hormones, is going to cause these spermatocytes to go through meiosis, and meiosis cuts it in half, so haploid cells, and they have 23 chromosomes. So during this step, I went from 46 chromosomes to 23. It's split in half. So a little background in biology. You have 46 chromosome, you have 23 pair. So chromosome 1, there's 2 of. So during this step, so I have an identical copy of chromosomes. They're going to split. So I'll have 23 and 23 instead of 23 pair that are together. So another division is going to happen, and you're going to have spermatids, which are basically immature sperm cells. They'll become a sperm cell. Spermatogenesis then begins to occur continually, starting at puberty. About 60 million sperm are produced every single day in a male. That sperm will collect in these seminiferous tubules, and then they go to the epididymis where they are stored, like I said, for a short period of time, and they actually mature. So here is a picture of meiosis. So I have my primary spermatocyte. There's one step of mitosis. It's going to split. Notice I have 23 here, 23 here, and they are eventually going to form 4 valid sperm cells that are capable of reproducing. Here is just looking at it a different direction. So here I'm actually starting, this shows how these cells are at the bottom layer and they kind of work their way up. But basically it's very similar to the last slide. Structure of a sperm cell is going to have a head, and that's where the nucleus is at. A mid-piece that has mitochondria that supply energy. Mitochondria's main function is to produce energy. And then the little tail that is a flagellum, and that's for movement. So the head contains the DNA. It contains the information. The mid-piece is for energy so that it can swim for a long period of time. And the tail is the part that helps it to swim. At the tip of the head is the acrosome, which has enzymes in it, because when the sperm meets the egg, it basically has to burrow its way inside of the egg, and it's these enzymes that help it break through to the inside of the egg. So there's a picture of the different pieces of the sperm. And I will stop there.